Well, hello. I thought I'd make a quick video as we come to the end of the riding season in 2019 about this thing, my C4 Schuberth modular helmet. I bought this helmet last year, late in the season, and I've basically used it all this 2019 riding season. And it's turned out to be a real star for me. It's comfortable, fits my head properly, which is difficult for me. Secondly, it does all the features and functions I need out of a helmet. It's relatively quiet, it's modular, which I appreciate now, and it has the integrated intercom system, which I find a godsend. Now, that being said, this helmet, I have a few niggles with it, which I think have been addressed in the updated version of this, the C4 Pro. Main thing being is the airflow is not brilliant. But I haven't had great luck with airflow in modular helmets behind a windshield anyway. So some of this I've accepted as being nature of the beast when you're riding on a fully fared motorcycle. Now, this does have a vent on the top, which works very well with wind coming over the top of the helmet. But it has a vent down here on the chin, which doesn't work so well. Now, some folks online have said they've had problems with this thing falling off. I've had no such trouble with this, with mine. The quality on this helmet's been very good. The audio system, the integrated audio system, works very, very well, provided you update your firmware. Now, I've speculated on the problems that some people had complained about last year online. Primarily is that suddenly the helmet will just kick off and you have to turn it back on to reset it, even though there's plenty of life left in the battery. The initial assumption was the battery life wasn't long. Well, the battery life on this helmet is phenomenal. I can plug it in overnight, put the helmet on in the morning, at dawn, basically ride all day till dusk in the summertime, and there's still some battery life left in that intercom system. So that wasn't the issue. What was happening, I believe, and I'm speculating, I'm putting basically stories together and the problems I had, is that when the helmet was jarred and the battery was pulled away or shooken, or the IC unit in this was shooken somehow or jarred, is that it would turn off. What some people did to get around that problem was to put a little piece of sponge underneath the battery to push it up harder against its contacts to prevent that jarring. The assumption was it was pulling away from the contacts for an instant and causing the system to shut down, and that may be the case. I've done that, but I've also done the firmware upgrade, and I will give Sena full marks is that they stay on top of their firmware upgrades. They're constant. And you do yourself a favor if you were to stay on top of those, if you happen to have a Sena system in your helmet, is to stay on top of those updates. You will find that a lot of the gripes you might have with the system usually get addressed. Sena is either very good at listening to their complaint department, or they do a lot of their own R&D to stay on top of those things. Now, with any helmet, and this one included, speaking of the audio system, I have yet to find one that reduces noise, wind noise around your head to an acceptable level where I don't have to wear some sort of hearing protection. Now, I have a video on my channel that has garnered more views, I think, than any other video I have, and that is around using a Bose noise-canceling earbud set inside a motorcycle helmet. Now, the footnote to the rest of this video is that you might live in a jurisdiction where the law prevents you from wearing any sort of noise reduction, whether it's an earplug, or earphones inside a motorcycle helmet. That's in certain jurisdictions, certain states in the United States I'm aware of that might be an issue. Here in Canada, you're allowed to wear earplugs or earphones. Some people argue that earplugs reduce the noise where you can't hear sirens or car horns or car tires squealing if somebody's about to hit you. I'm not sure if those folks are suffering from severe hear loss or they've never actually worn earplugs on a motorcycle. I've been riding for 40 years, either off-road and on-road. I've worn earplugs many of those years, most of those years. I've never had a problem hearing the ambient noise around me. Horns, sirens, cars, just idling cars beside me. I can still hear them, even when the earplugs are fully inserted properly. So, That being said, I don't think there's a safety issue with wearing earplugs. I think there's a safety issue by not wearing earplugs. There's a significant amount of research going on now about hear loss in ambient situations. In fact, in the media here in Canada this week, there was a study that was done, or it was commented on, just being inside a noisy restaurant frequently can cause hear loss, believe it or not. So, on that vein, I do recommend protecting your hearing sometime, if you're able to by law, while you ride a motorcycle. I recommend it. What I've done, and back to this helmet, this has a built-in earphones built right into the shell. All the electronics are built in, and then the battery and everything's tucked inside the helmet. So when I'm riding, I can speak or I can hear the voice of the other riders I'm with if they're on a similar system. I can also listen to music in the background if I want, but I still wear earplugs, okay? And earplugs, the funny thing about earplugs is you have to be cautious of a couple things. These are custom earplugs I had made by an audiologist. And while I was at the audiologist's office, I asked a few questions about earplugs and hearing protection. The comment she made to me was higher frequencies tend to cause hearing loss quicker. Lower frequencies can also cause hearing loss, but higher frequencies do it quicker, unfortunately. So she does recommend protecting my hearing whenever I can. I bought these here for other activities I do, and they're not great for motorcycling. I wanted to try them with motorcycling, and I've actually mentioned that in some of my videos. But the challenge is with motorcycling is you have a helmet on. If you're riding with a helmet, you should be, in my opinion. This flap of structure over the canal of your ear, I think it's called the tragus, I believe it's called, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's got cartilage inside it, that round part of your ear. That is sort of the outer limit of where your earplugs should sit when they're inserted properly. To insert an earplug properly, and there are some disposable ones, you need to pinch it, roll it down so it's thin and narrow, insert it as far as you can, and after it's inserted, it will slowly puff back up and fill your ear canal. It is important that the edge of this, the outer edge of this earplug sits inside the outer limit of that tragus structure, okay? Now, the reason I'm saying that it's important for that to be inside the outer limit of that structure is because the liner of your helmet rubbing against your earplug will defeat most of what you're trying to accomplish with this. And if you don't believe me, put one in your ear, the way you normally do, and just tickle it with the tip of your finger and see how much noise gets transferred through. That very challenge is why these custom earplugs did not work for me. There is too much of the earplug that sits outside of my ear canal, and there's too much of the surface area here to rub against the liner of the helmet, which really is quite loud and annoying and fatiguing. The other thing it can do, even if there's no rubbing, is any wind that buffets or strikes the side of your helmet and causes vibrations on the shell, those vibrations will be transferred into the shell. What you want to do is to prevent that vibration from touching these earplugs and in turn transferring into your inner ear and you being able to hear that. Once again, you'll cancel out the effects of what you're trying to accomplish with an earplug. So in the end, whether you're using these kind, or even the small foam kind, which a lot of racers use, they need to be inserted correctly. And to bring it back around to this, I found that the audio system in this helmet with earplugs in works brilliantly. It's plenty loud enough for me to hear through the earplugs and still hear ambient noise around the motorcycle. And yet, at that volume level, the battery life continues to last right on through the day. So this I'm very pleased with. And my ultimate system now, I guess, or what I found works best for me, is this helmet with the audio system and disposable earplugs. seems to work the best, where I can get off the motorcycle at the end of the day and I'm not fatigued by the noise, and I'm not bothered by any wires hanging around my chin, and it's still comfortable. So all that being said, I hope to upload a couple more videos before the end of the year here. We're in early November here in 2019, but I hope to upload a couple more. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, for all those folks who've subscribed over the years, thank you very much. Until next time.